Hi everyone. So today I want to talk a little bit more about writing and my writing journey. I mentioned, I believe in the second episode, that I am officially writing my first book, and this has been a long time coming. Yes, girl. It's been a long time coming, and I want to give you a little bit of backstory on how I got to this point of actively and making that decision that I want to write a book. So, when I was about, I think I was around 8 or 9. Yeah, that age. That was an interesting age for me. I feel like I was always very curious, and I mentioned as well, like I'm definitely a bookworm. So I loved reading like different like short stories kind of things. At that point I was obviously reading fiction, and I don't know how exactly like it first came to me. It may have been through my mom, because my mom was a big fan of like watching horror movies and yeah, like horror movies and things like that. So I got exposed to that, and I think we watched it for the first time, like the original one, and I loved it. Like I loved that movie. And then my mom had told me that that movie had come from a book. So I was like, "Oh, like I want to know more. Like I want to read about this." And I started going into a rabbit hole of Stephen King, and I got into Edgar Allan Poe. And I I more so like I tried to start reading it, but like to be honest, like there was a level of like just not understanding certain words for my vocabulary at that age, but I still just I wanted to read it. And uh I think at when I turned 10, I read, I think it was like eight tales of horror or something. So it was like it was a compilation of stories from Edgar Allan Poe, and I was just like, I don't know, I loved it. I loved like the way that it was writing. I loved like the yeah, like it was such a weird thing. And anyways, I like that kind of sparked this desire to write. Oh, it's okay, baby. My baby girl is learning how to try to get up. She's okay. It's okay, Mama. So she's learning how to get up, so that's her just, it's okay. We fall and we get up again. So what was I saying? Yeah, and I also really liked writing. Like English was my favorite class in school. I loved, like I would literally like grab the dictionary and like read the dictionary as like pastime. So I was really obsessed with like learning new words, uh and using that, like kind of bridging how to use that in sentences, and like in communication. So um I started like writing like small like horror stories. And I think, I don't know, I probably still have it somewhere like buried in my storage stuff. And like I think I read it again, I don't know, like less than 2 years ago, and I was like, that was pretty creepy for like a 10-year-old writing this. Like I was like, this is scary. um but yeah, that's what I liked at the time. And I also, I think, was that before? I think I tried to go in like the spelling bee a few times. I ended up being in a spelling bee. And yeah, it was just kind of like I always had a fascination for language and for stories and just seeing how like books can come to life. And I remember this specific series when I was probably like in third grade. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it, Junie B. Jones. And she was like my favorite. I love Junie B. Jones. And like as I read those books, like it just felt like I was immersed in that world. I was immersed in her world. And yeah, that just inspired me to write. So oh, and on I almost forgot this part. And also like I went to a Montessori school for a certain amount of years. I think from like pre-K to third grade, I went to Montessori school. And in that time, I like it was very, if you're familiar with Montessori, it's definitely different from the public school system. And there's a lot of freedom that they give you in what you want to learn and how to learn it. And there was a lot of room for creativity, which I really enjoyed. So there would be opportunities, like there would be like a lot of plays and opportunities to just show and tell and share. Like this would be almost like, I don't know, like a bi-weekly thing. And I remember at the time, what I really enjoyed also was writing and reading poetry. And we would we would take turns as a class and like learn specific poems and recite these poems. And I remember like I wanted to like challenge myself, so I memorized like this really long ass poem. It was super like corny but fun. It was like about a chicken, like a chicken that, I don't know, that was tired or sad. I don't know. It was something like that. And we had the option to kind of like include animation and acting in it. And this was just like a really random detail. I remember that like I think like the chicken was melting or something, and I had to like act like I was like melting off of my chair. It was so weird. But yeah, so there was just this. That also started very young for me, and English was always my favorite subject in school. Sorry. Hey, girlies. English was always my favorite subject in school, and I truly enjoyed it. Like, I know that there were some subjects that people just dreaded, and for me that was math usually, and science. Like, I mean, I enjoyed science. There was just aspects where I wasn't as skilled in, or like, yeah, it was harder for me to kind of wrap my head around. But math was probably the most challenging, and yeah, it started young. It started young, and around, I don't even know. I mean, I also started journaling as well. I think I started journaling around the same time, and it was just really me like literally like releasing emotions. I didn't know that at the time, but I was releasing emotions. And I think I read my diary from when I was like 10 years old, and I was pretty much the same. Like I was the same, like in the way that I wrote. I was very detailed, and I was very like aware of how I was feeling and how I was observing someone else feeling. And um yeah, and just some things that I said, I was like the 10-year-old mind, it was just, honestly, it was really funny to read. And I just like, this is also random, but I just remember like I would have certain crushes, and like writing about the crushes, and like just like that excitement and that like giddiness and innocence, like that was also expressed in my writing, in my journaling. And um yeah, I wrote a lot. I think I stopped for a little bit, um but I wrote a lot. And I think, I don't know at what age I started again, but like I went through, I went through a few journals, I would say. Um and then when I got into high school, what did I take in high school? I took like film literature, which I really loved that class. That was awesome because I also love movies. I took film literature, and I took like AP English. Um, is that my junior year, I think? Or my senior year? Did I take AP English? I think I wanted to, and then I didn't because I really wanted to do film literature. Something like that. Or maybe I did take AP English. I think I did take it, but it was my junior year. Something like that. And then there was another like writing class that I took. But yeah, I think specifically, I don't know why, I think film literature stood out a lot to me, because I didn't really know, like I didn't really know that was a thing. Like I was like, oh, you can like write about films. Like it was just like duh. And being also a big movie buff, I was like, this is like so awesome. I feel like the teacher that I had, not many people liked her because she was interesting. I feel like she did her best, but there was this lack of awareness in delivery, and honestly just like innocence, or not innocence, but like understanding and kindness. So she really rubbed people the wrong way, and honestly there was a few times where I was like, I don't like this lady. But I still enjoyed the class, and I still enjoyed what I was learning. And yeah, I think, here and there I would still journal. But I was frankly really like my whole entire schedule was filled in high school. From like, I would wake up around 5 a.m. sometimes and get home at like 8. And then I would have at least 2 hours of homework, which I more often than not didn't finish because I was exhausted. So there was times where I would just fall asleep on it. And then like I had to like shower and eat and all that, and then do it all again. So there, yeah, I think the use of my time, it was, I think that there was a lot of things that I was doing physically, like, and I think that's also just part of like New York culture. Like it's like hustle, 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 hustle. And that's where I was. That was my, and honestly, like for for lack of a better word, I was also in survival state. Like emotionally and mentally, I was in survival mode. So in order to kind of just not even allow myself to stop, like to physically stop, I went to school. I was doing my trainings in sports. I sometimes would work out twice a day, even 3 times, because I would have what's it called? More so twice, but like I would work out and do my training for cross country and or track, and then after that I would go to the gym, and then I would go back home. And yeah, and honestly, some of my homework assignments, like some days I'm like, I don't know, I didn't understand this. I don't know how to do this, like, and it was really frustrating, especially the things that were more challenging for me. Like, it truly frustrated me because I'm like, damn, like, I just want to go to bed, and I don't understand how to do this, and it's like, I'm like hitting my head against the wall. And yeah, there was that, and then like me not really wanting to be home, and then at some points I again like was putting my focus on boys, and then like some days I'll just literally I'll smoke a joint and just be like, fuck it, like this is like I need to chill out, or I would go and smoke with people, or drink with people, like. And now that I think about it, because I forgot at this point, there was a time where I wasn't training at school because I had failed my class. So I failed math, and because of that, like in my school, there was this, what's it called? Like requirement that all athletes need to like pass their class and have a certain GPA. And because I failed it, the next season, I couldn't. There was one season that I couldn't run. So during that season, that was when I was like smoking and drinking more. And then in my final year as well, I completely quit. I quit the team because I realized how much time it was taking. Like, because I would literally get home at 8 every day, and I felt like I wasn't, because my other like friend group, like they weren't in sports, so they would get out at the normal time, and our normal time was like 4 p.m. for school. So we would normally get out at 4 p.m. and there were like really few days when I didn't have practice that I would get out at that normal time and like I can like hang out with them. But I realized, I was like, like I'm not trying to be a professional runner. Most of my friends from the team were in the year above me or 2 years above me, so they had graduated already. And although I love the girls that that were like younger than me, I didn't really have, like, it just felt different because most of the ones that were really close with me had graduated. So I was like, and I think also at that time, I don't know if we had gotten a new coach as well. Like, it was just a lot of stuff that kind of, it didn't fit, like, the ideal for me. And I was just like, it's just not worth it. So, like, I still ran on my own, and I still worked, and I did a lot more weightlifting. But, yeah, that, I would say, probably because of that, because even just that little amount of time that I had free, I you baby, yeah, I had more time to experiment and to go to places and talk to people that I shouldn't be talking to and all these things. And yeah, I think I could have used some of that time to write. That probably would have been a great way for me to kind of um, ground and just articulate what was going on, but it didn't really come to me in the moment, to be honest. And then when 20 it was like 2019 came in college, I started writing again. Like I started writing, I started expressing myself, and by 20 was it 2021 or 2022? I think it was right before. Was it when I? No, it wasn't that long. It was like sub. I know you have a lot to say. I know. So subconsciously, I was preparing myself to write this book because I was writing a lot, but I didn't know, like, it was just writing, and also it was like the divine information that was coming to me. I had no hesitation in writing it down, right? And that was just me purely being in the present moment, like doing it. And then by the time I got pregnant, and I had this clear message: you need to write the book. And I was like, and then this was even funnier. I was curious about the stuff that I had been writing, because there was some stuff that I didn't look back at. I just had it and I didn't look back to it. And I found my journal from when I was like, I think 12. And then I had some stuff in there from when I was like, I think like 14. And literally, I had wrote out, because I used to do this, I would write out like my bucket list. And on the bucket list, in my head, I was like, things to do before I'm 16. And it literally said, write a book. So I had read that. I had read that after I got that message, and it was like double confirmation for me. I was like, oh shit, like I already knew this. I already knew, like, the timeline was off, but I already knew this. I already knew it was coming. Yes, girl, talk. So yeah, and then I was like, okay, now that I know that I want to do this, or rather I have the calling to do this, I'm like, how? Like, physically, how am I gonna do this? Like, now I'm pregnant, there's a lot going on, and then more so planning for after I have my baby as well. And I think I've started writing here and there during my pregnancy, and then towards the end, or I think right after. I think it was right after, honestly. It was more so right after. I was like, you know what? I'm committing to this. Like, it doesn't matter, and no matter what, like, it's really for me to show myself that I'm answering a call, and that I have the discipline, and I have the commitment to this, because even my 14-year-old self knew that I was going to write a book. So now we're here, And the truth is, God has gifted me many lessons in a very short amount of time for me to be able to have the context and the content to fill this book. And it blows my mind even saying this, but like I realized how, maybe it could have been nicer to write a, I don't know, a Junie B. Jones type of book. But that's not my book. I'm gonna tell you guys that Junie B. is not that type of book. Anyways, yeah, that's why I'm here now, and I share this because I like everything that I do is to serve God. Everything that I do is to serve God. And to me, service can look in many ways, but sometimes service is doing the thing that fuels your spirit the most. And in that, you are also giving a gift to whoever will receive it, right? And even if that gift is just, you don't have to wait for the right time to start. You don't have to wait for this perfect, magical moment where you think life is going to be better or your situation is going to be more comfortable for you to start that thing that you want to do. Because honestly, I feel like I started in what could seem like the worst possible time. Like logistically, mentally, financially, emotionally, physically. And in that, I've been able to really anchor in what it means to turn your pain into power. And to see the darkness and also like light, like, you know what I mean? So if you're listening to this right now, start. Just start. Because if you keep waiting for that perfect moment, you never know when that's going to come. It might not ever come. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. Thank you.